Using Docusign, obtaining electronic signatures. The last portion of this class dealt with zip forms, creating your forms in zip forms and getting them all filled out. And now we're ready to go ahead and send those over to Docusign. And I want to show you how to do that. So the first thing that we did was entered all these forms into zip forms, and we filled them out completely. And if you'll remember, on our setup, under Tools and under Options, there was this Preference tab and this e-signature tab. And under the e-signature tab, we entered our Docusign username and password. What that enabled us to do is over here on the File menu, excuse me, over here on the File menu, if you pull that down, now you see e-signature. So if I have all my paperwork ready, I'm going to click this e-signature. Over here are all the documents that I prepared or I have loaded. Now in this case, we had talked about two different types of agency, so I really don't want to bring over this agency, so I'm going to uncheck that box. What this is saying is I want to bring over all of these pieces of paperwork into Docusign. When I look down here, there's a button that says Send to Docusign. When I click this button, what it's doing is it's taking my documents, it's preparing them in whatever way it does, it's signing me into Docusign using the information that I loaded under the Tools menu, and it's opening up what's called in Docusign an envelope, which is kind of like a file folder. So it's actually, I don't know if you see what it's doing, it's logging me in, it's opening up an envelope, it's loading the envelope, and now we're into Docusign. And the first thing you're going to see is up in the left-hand corner, it says Prepare Envelope. You see a Send button, you see a Documents button, a Recipients button, a Messaging button, and down here is all my paperwork. It's loaded into this window. You can see the names of each of the pieces of paper or the documents right here across in the document window. But we can start a wizard. The way we can start a wizard is by clicking on Documents. When you click on Documents, this wizard loads, and it brings you through a bunch of different steps that you need to do to prepare the documents to send to your client for signatures. So it has all of these different paperwork here below on the Documents window, and then there's this place that says Apply a template to this document. So like I told you before in the setup, we created a bunch of templates, and what that means is we threw some templates into this program and placed the initials and the signature tabs close to where we believe you're going to want them. So I'm going to go through and show you how to apply it. You click this, and I clicked that Apply a Template under Residential Property, the Residential Contract. So I'm looking for that. That's what I'm looking for right now. It's not on this page, it's on the next page actually, and there it is, Residential Purchase Contract. So when I click that, what I'm saying is I want this template applied to the document that I'm talking about. Hit OK, and what it's doing right now is placing the tabs. I'll show you that in a minute, but now I'll show you how the screen looks different on the wizard. My Residential Purchase Contract actually says it has a template attached to it. You can remove the template if you do the wrong template. And I don't know of any time that you would actually apply another template. So I can do that with almost every piece of paperwork. If it made sense, we made a template pretty much. So here's the HOA. I can say Apply a Template. I'm looking for the HOA. So let me scroll down. There's the HOA addendum. I simply click it, hit OK, and it's applying that template to the HOA document. So I'm going to proceed through all of my forms and do that same thing. All this is doing really, okay, here's the as is. All this is doing really when you're applying the templates to the document, it's saving you time. And I'll show you exactly what that means in a moment. The as is addendum doesn't like it. That's okay, I'm going to skip that one. I can show you how to do it manually. Short sale addendum, apply a template. I'm looking for the short sale addendum. That's going to be on my second page. There's the short sale addendum. That's the one that you do for the listing contract. This is the one for the contract. Short sale addendum. Okay. And the last one I think that we have on the list is the consent to dual representation. That's the agency form that shows that the broker represents both buyer and seller. There's the consent to limited dual representation. I'm going to apply that template. Find it on the list. Hold on one second. There it is on the list. Click it and apply it. Once you've applied all the templates that you can to your documents, you're going to actually move on to the next step in the wizard. Next. On this page, what you're doing is you're actually labeling who are the recipients, who are the people who are going to sign, who are the people who are going to receive this paperwork. So down below, the template loaded a bunch of people, but that's because I don't know if you're representing the buyer or the seller. But if you're not representing the seller, you're just going to get, like this one's a seller, you're going to get rid of that. And how you do that is at the very end of the line, there's an X, that deletes it out. So every user I don't need for my transaction, I just delete until all I've got left are the two buyers that I actually want to load onto this paperwork, which were I think, Joe and Jane buyer. Now, under normal circumstances, what you would do is see how this one's highlighted? You would simply go up here into the email, and you're going to say, okay, it's Joe. His email is joe@joebuyer.com. And then you put his name as Joe Buyer. That means it's going to know that that's his name, so that's going to generate initials and signatures, but it's also going to send it to that email address. Now, since these are made up people, I'm not going to use Joe Buyer. I'm going to actually pretend that I'm the buyer so you can see what it looks like. Let me just delete that second buyer and then put my information in there. Once you load somebody for the first time and you send it to somebody, it's going to load up in your address book. So if you send to somebody frequently, it'll be in your address book. It'll be faster. So I'm just going to put me as the recipient so I can show you how they receive it on their end. The next step in the wizard, once you've added all your emails and names, is the message. This is the subject of the email and anything in the body. We made like a template instructions, so you don't have to always type in the instructions. We did that for you. And then up here, you may just want to put contract paperwork or anything that makes sense to you. So number one, you can find it later. And I also put the address in there. It populates with the address. Or you can put their last name or whatever it is that makes sense to you, and that's going to be the subject line, or maybe from Angela or whatever, so that when your buyers see it, they're going to recognize it as coming from Docusign, from you, and they're supposed to open it. There's their instructions. You can add Angela. You can add anything personal you want to the front of it. I just recommend leaving the instructions, whatever. And then once you've done that, you hit next, and you're done with your wizard, and you're ready to work actually on the documents, getting them ready to send for signature.